Oh, hello there. Well, today we're at Graham Cave State Park. We've got a short window of 2, maybe 3 hours between storm fronts. Got roughly 4 miles to hike here. We'll finish at Graham Cave just before returning to the car. Let me take you over to this map, give you an idea of the hike we're going to do today. Come on, let's get going. So we're parked here. We'll take this little loop out of the parking lot, just close to the cave. Turn right. We're going to do a loop hike connecting about 3 or 4 trails. Once we get down here by the Loutre River, we had storms all night last night, so I'm not certain if it's going to be flooded or swampy. We'll find out. If it's not, we'll take the longer outer loop. If it is, we're going to cut through here up to the Indian Glade Trail, back to the cave, explore the cave a little bit, and then back to the car. Roughly 4 miles. You can see the cave behind me. It's 120 feet wide, 16 feet high, 100 feet deep. We're just uphill from the parking lot. We'll begin and end our hike here at the cave, but we'll fully explore this area at the end of the hike. As we come back, we'll come back over the top of the cave and then come around and go inside of it, to the bit that we could get into. It's so humid here today, I'm having difficulty keeping the lens from fogging up. But I did want to tell you about the pawpaw trees. This place is just covered in pawpaw trees. They're beautiful in the fall. I've never been able to eat the fruit. Sorry, first one on the trail, already covered in spider webs. I've talked to people who've had the fruit from the pawpaw tree before though. It's kind of peanut shaped, really creamy, and has a bit of a banana flavor to it. I'd like to get one someday, but squirrels beat me to it every year. This land was once owned by Daniel Morgan Boone, the son of the famous frontiersman. Then in 1816, Robert Graham moved here from Kentucky and purchased this land from Boone. It was held in his family for 4 generations until 1961, when they sold it to the state due to the archaeological interest in the cave. Oh, spider webs. So it was the 4th generation of Graham's great whatever granddaughter of Robert Graham, who this park is named after, by the way, that sold this land. Her husband raised hogs in the cave, and archaeologists locally had heard that he had a bulldozer brought in to expand the area under the cave for the hogs. Sorry, more spider webs. And when they heard that, they asked him to stop the excavations so that they could explore the area. So in 1961, this was the first national landmark formed solely for the archaeological interest, and also the first park in the state of Missouri founded solely on archaeological interest. I think that's pretty neat. These moss-covered rocks are quite pretty. I am literally covered in spider webs. So is my camera and tripod. It's so sticky, but it is worth it. It's beautiful here. So I want you to see this rock ledge that I'm walking below. It's quite pretty. This rock ledge carries on for a long ways. This is cool. I'm going to flip the camera around here in a minute as I start to go up the trail right next to the rock. Show it to you. Uh-oh. It's just coming out of the trees. I'm certain at this point you can hear the road noise. We're very close to Interstate 70. Other than that, this is a beautiful place. That's interesting. You never know what you'll find on the trail. This mussel shell, which has been painted, was up there in the rocks, right on the trail. Hopefully this comes through on the camera. I've never seen these flowers before. They're really quite pretty. Oh, a little bee. If you know what they are, please let me know in the comments. Every person who spends time in the outdoors has heard this: never, never, never trust the weather report. And there's a reason for that. But if it's correct today, we've got roughly an hour to an hour and a half before that next front gets here. It's supposed to be severe storms starting somewhere between noon and 1 into the middle of the night. Possibly hail, winds, yada yada. You know how it goes on those weather reports. Let's make it as dramatic as we can. Man, these spider webs are atrocious today. But one way or another, we're going to knock this hike out. I am going to have to buy an action camera though. It's a little risky with the one I've got now out in the rain. This section of trail is beautiful. I'm in a thick cedar grove, just stretches on forever. The Park Service obviously keeps this trail mowed, and I'm walking on sand. It's quiet and soft. Big spider web. And there are no mosquitoes. That is a very pleasant surprise. We're in the Loutre River bottoms right now, fairly close to the river, I'd imagine. I hope this stretch lasts for a long time. So I think I'm the only one in the park today. Let's go down the boat ramp and take a look at the river. So this boat ramp is really for canoes and kayaks only. I didn't realize how close we were to Interstate 70, but there's a bridge for the interstate right there. Should show up on camera. It's a very still river. It's supposed to be good for catfish. We have to get a canoe out here someday. It's pretty. So at this point, we'll be in the bottomland forest, skirting the edge of the river, getting away from the interstate, which is going to be nice. And I don't think we have to worry about flooding. The river really wasn't up that much, so I think we'll have some success on this trail. I really like this park. So far, it's kind of a mix. Half a walk in the woods, half a walk in the park. The fact that there are all these mowed areas are really quite nice. It's pleasant. And you know, this is a Saturday morning. I suppose it's because of the weather forecast, but being the only one out here is quite surprising for a weekend. But I'll take it. So here we have a young grove of pawpaws. Give it a few years and they'll have fruit towards the tops of the trees. In a grove this dense, I may have a chance. I try to remember to come back here in the fall in a few years and see if I could get lucky. Well, it looks like I'm not the only one here. That campground was fairly full. I remember a few years ago, Jackie, Maggie, and I camped out here. It was late fall, early winter. It was beautiful. We had the whole place to ourselves. We were towards the back of the campground. Cold nights, chilly days, lots of good food, nice fire, and a long night's sleep. It's back when Maggie could hike 10 miles a day and loved doing it. Well, that was a great time. Can you see this doe in the distance? She should be centered in the frame. I almost stepped on her. She was right on the edge of the trail. I was looking down instead of looking ahead. She jumped up about 10 feet in front of me, and then she stopped up there to stare at me. She's gone now. I've got to start looking ahead. Maybe I could start capturing some deer on video. So, I've been wondering why it's so sunny, and I'm not in the middle of that severe storm that's supposed to have happened by now. So I checked the weather report, and the storm got pushed back to this evening. And to think, I almost didn't come out here today. Come on, breeze. Alright, so here we have this huge cedar tree. The dead bark is kind of hanging off. It's great tinder for a fire. Makes a great bird's nest too, for a little spark. And the dead limbs, although they've all been broken off as far as I can reach, but usually they're quite small and they're great kindling for a fire. I may have to make some bushcrafting videos this winter. That'd be fun. I kind of like walking on these large slabs of rock. They're all over the place on this trail. All around the trail, the entire understory is pawpaws in this area. Really plentiful here. We've been in a drought for quite a while here, well over a month, say maybe closer to 2. With all that rain last night, the streams are still dry here. It's kind of surprising. "120 feet wide, 16 feet high, 100 feet deep." I didn't have the camera angled right for that climb. I started over there to the right. Alright, so we're near the end of the hike, but we've got to talk about Graham Cave. It's the main attraction and the reason this park exists today. So, I told you about how the archaeologists began to explore this park, how it became National Historic Foundation, and State Park founded for the archaeological site. So as they explored in here, I've got some notes because there's quite a bit of detail on the archaeological dig. It's quite fascinating. Alright, so when the archaeologists conducted excavations from 1949 to 1955, they found a 10,000-year record of almost continuous habitation in the cave. This was the oldest material and the best present deposit found until that time. Because of the significance of the site, portions have been left for future generations. So we'll go up in there against the fence in a minute, and you can see where some was excavated. And we have plaques behind the camera here with some pictures of the excavation. And you can see along the back wall all that they left. And I thought this was interesting. This one resonates with me because if I were looking for a shelter, this would be the perfect shelter for various reasons. One, it's located on high ground, so it's never going to flood. And it's got an almost due south orientation, so those cold northerly winds wouldn't wrap around into that cave. It'd be an awesome shelter, that's for sure. Let's go inside, take a look. We'll take a look at a couple of the plaques, head back to the car. Okay, here we're looking directly into the middle of the cave. You can see that the entire thing's fenced. You have a retaining wall maybe 15-20 feet behind the fence. That would be the part that's fully excavated. Behind that is awaiting future excavations by archaeologists. There's a lot of, looks like black plastic weed cover covering the ground near the very back of the cave. And really there's, it's just kind of gritty, sandy dirt under there. I'll give you a pan shot. Hopefully it comes through this fence. It's pretty neat. All right, here we'll kind of track that back wall. I'm not sure how well this will come through. Let's go take a look at some of those plaques. Here we have a plaque with a few pictures of the excavations from 48 to 53, some examples of arrowheads, and just kind of an explanation of how the archaeologists did their work here. Here we have a plaque on the formation of Missouri caves. Missouri is the cave state. I think there are over 6,000 known caves at this time. This one's very unique though because it's sandstone. Most are limestone caves. Here's a plaque with a little map on it of the trails in the park. It talks about the natural communities, wildlife. A lot of them talk about plants. They're all throughout the park. They're really interesting. They did a great job with this park. So thanks for taking a walk with me. I hope you enjoyed this adventure and please join me for future ones. See ya.